Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to take a look at the top LR EZAs in the game for 2023, the top 10 at the end of 2023. So I've separated the LR EZAs from the LRs because I think now especially it's important to assess EZA units different from standard units that are released. And one of the reasons why is that standard units that release tend to, tend to be different structurally to EZAs. EZAs improve your leader skill, but the EZAs also, for the most part, do tend to kind of be a little bit more of like an oomph to a category, more so than being strategically a completely broken unit. They also don't tend to carry the same weight in terms of leader skill. And yeah, just in general, there are some limitations. Now, I'm not including any LR EZAs that are not currently on global, so you're going to have to bear with me. I'm also not including, obviously, any EZAs that, just basically any EZAs we don't have on global. That's basically it. Now, this is kind of sorted into the units I want to kind of talk about, but I do think, there are always units that are interchangeable, and it's just going to depend on you and how you feel about certain LRs. But I think for me, these are probably the units that I feel have the most notable EZAs, and are probably ones that I would tell players to go and work on. Some of them will just drop out the list naturally, but it's one of those things. Now, in terms of LR EZAs, I do think Goku Black is probably the one that comes to mind being the best. I think Goku Black is unironically probably one of the best units in the game. He has some caveats. He has restrictions in terms of start of turn. He has restrictions in terms of how well he does, obviously before Super. But with the sheer damage that he does and just the overarching really good nature of him as a unit, I think it's very difficult to kind of make an argument that he's not one of the top units in the game, at least for me. I think it's super important to note that he is just really, really good. Alongside that, I'd probably have to put the LR androids in my top 5, and then I probably have to have Cell and Gohan. We'll talk about them now. But yeah, I will say, for me, so starting with kind of Cell, I think the only thing holding Cell back is the units on his team. I think Android Cell Saga, with a couple buffs, especially to the extreme side of things, I think could be an incredibly powerful, incredibly good team that a lot of players will really enjoy using. But I think for me, the big kind of caveat to them or him as a unit is that team. So if he could have a slightly more functional team, I think he'd be sitting in a very, very good position. Because he does not, I think it does kind of limit him to a certain extent. Then we have AGL Gohan, incredibly good unit, obviously great leader skill. Has fallen off a little bit, but I'd say purely based on leader skill and the melee ability of him, and still his overall strength plus his transformation conditions, I will say he's probably just ahead of the LR physical androids, who round out my top 4 by being an incredibly strong support, an incredibly powerful unit overall, good damage, good numbers, and yeah, very good. I think the only downside for them is actually the Android 16. I do wish he had some kind of damage mitigation as Android 16, because he does just feel a little bit too fragile. Next, I probably honestly want to put the 5th year anniversary units, and I'll probably put them together because I do believe they're very much even. But the 5th year anniversary units are exceptional. They obviously start off a little bit on the weaker side, although still really good, much improved. But it's really when they transform, when things start to kick off, they gain huge access to damage, they just become really, really good, and they just have a very strong presence. They do literally insane levels of damage, and they're really good defensively once fully built up. So yeah, for me, I like them. Plus, they have that guaranteed evasion. I think there's a really good foundation there. Next, honestly speaking, I probably want to put the Tech Goku Rose. I think with the EZA to LR Rose and the buffs that Time Traveler's got, I think these guys really got a good buff coming back into the game, and I think they really are a super solid unit. Yes, they do have some mitigating factors, and yes, you do have to obviously have them constantly super attack, but I do think there's enough there to kind of say like, hey, these guys look really, really good, at least to me. I think they are incredibly solid and a very good unit. Next, I probably want to say we're going to go with these units in probably this order. I think that should round it up. I'm just checking that there are no EZA units that I've somehow missed. Remember, I can only judge based on what's released on global, so I can't judge some of the units I know are getting releases. I wish Baby had got his EZA. I think that would have been really cool. But yeah, so I think this is probably fine based on what I've experienced. I'd probably drop out the 30th anniversary units, the Trunks and Mai, and maybe you could put these guys here. I think this is probably fair, and I'll just touch on them more briefly. So Goten and Gohan, very, very good leader skill, siblings bond in Goku's family, and they do actually do a really good job defensively and in terms of offense. Their big thing is they still feel like they have a build-up time, like they still need 1 or 2 turns to really get going unless you fully laid into them, but they are just as destructive as they were when they first came out, and the EZA really pushed that to a good new level in terms of their raw defense. Next we have the LR Super Saiyan Goku. Very, very good unit, especially now with the advent of the LR into SS Trio. Another unit that's seeing a really good surge in his usage and playtime. And yeah, really good. We've got damage reduction, we've got damage, we've got good raw defense. The only real shame is he's very restrictive. To get the best out of him, you have to kind of play with Super Saiyan units, but still really good. Then we have Strength Beerus and Whis. Honestly, they need a better team, but with Physical Beerus, they actually really are pushing up in the ranks of LR units, and I think they're pretty solid. And then to round out the top 10, I have the 4th year anniversary units, who I think are benefited by the interval power Goku to a certain extent, which keeps them just outside this range. I also think the massively raising defense really helps them out quite a bit, keeps them on a relevant level. And then we have Bojack, who I think is good, but his links hold him back. So yeah, that's it for my top 10. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, bye.